I hope you all enjoy. Please like and subscribe.
Yo, what's
Peace.
going
Blah,
on,
blah, blah,
guys?
blah, blah.
Setter here. And today, we are talking about movies that I feel like are underrated. We're going to go with the Rocky series. So I get these movies came out before, like, even your parents were born. You feel me? And Sylvester Stallone is like unction status, which I know people are like, oh, you're 20 years old, you're unction. No, bro. I'm not unk. I'm working on it though. Feel me? Like, I'm just old enough to where it's not weird if I like had a kid, but still young enough to where I'd get made fun of for it. You feel me? But so we're gonna start with Rocky 1 and go all the way up to Rocky 4. We're not gonna count Rocky 5. We're actually. We'll count Rocky 5, but we're not counting Balboa or whatever. Oh, I'm sorry, off topic. This game's crossed out. This game I've been playing for years. And I'm going to be playing that for today's episode. Rocky 1, you start with Rocky Balboa, who's just this bounty collector in Philadelphia. Strong dude. He, like, fights people. And even, like, in the first match, like, you can tell his whole style. He just pretty much gets punched in the face and just waits till the other person gets tired. And then eventually the other person's tired and he just starts hitting them back and they're like, oh, I'm tired, passing out. But so the first movie, which in my opinion is probably the best one. It could be argued that it's not, but in my opinion I think it's the best one. So he starts off as the bouncer and he has this crush on this like kind of mid girl from like a, no offense, kind of mid-girl from like a animal store. It's the best way I could explain it. And he goes by and rizzes her up, and he's actually friends with her brother. And he's just doing his thing. His boss is like some like mafia dude, and there's this, not to be racist, this black dude named Apollo Creed who's like beating up everybody, and he's looking for opponents. So they're like looking through opponents and they're like, whoa, this dude's name is the Italian Stallion. And their fight is in Philadelphia. So it's like, yeah, it works. Bunch of Italian people. And so he starts training. And this is why everybody likes Rocky movies, including myself. That's why it's my favorite movie of all time. So Rocky, this like unknown boxer dude, starts like working his ass off. And Apollo Creed's just kind of like messing around, just like reading newspapers because he's like this world champion boxer. And he's not even really taking Rocky serious, right? So there's obviously like the crazy this training montage. And Rocky, he ends up in this like really good shape and he's running every day and his girlfriend gets him a dog. I think it's like Butt Kiss or whatever. Really good stuff. So they get in the ring. Apollo Creed's kind of like whooping that ass. You feel me? Like doing what he's supposed to do. But Rocky lands this shot and it knocks Apollo Creed to the ground and everybody's like, oh shit, he might be a dog. So after he knocks him to the ground, pretty much Apollo Creed's like, enough of this, like I'm gonna prove I'm a dog. And he starts beating up on him, but Rocky just will not go down. And eventually, in the 14th round, Rocky finally gets knocked down. Everybody's like, bro, just stay down, like you lost, just stay down. And he somehow gets up and he beats up on Apollo Creed, right? And then Apollo Creed, like he hits him in the rib with a really good shot. But yada yada yada, they go back and forth. Really cool fight scenes. I recommend watching the movie. Apollo Creed ends up winning the fight, which a lot of people are like, Apollo Creed's fake, yada yada yada. And they're both at the end of the fight, they're like, they're not going to be a rematch because they're both like drained. So pretty much after that ends, we directly go into the second movie, which is pretty much Rocky made a lot of money from the first fight. And he's like, you know what, I don't need a second fight, right? But Apollo Creed starts like calling him out and stuff and start talking trash. And Rocky's like, you know what, okay, I'm gonna go in there. And so Rocky this time around, he's like married to Adrian, which is the girl from the, I probably should have said her name, that's kind of disrespectful. He's married to Adrian, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he is. And they're like doing their thing. And he's like trying to like pursue acting and stuff to like make money. But he's like, his whole character is he's really stupid and he can take punches really good. And that's pretty much all he can do is he can fight, but he's stupid. And even in the first movie, Adrian's like, my mom said I never had much of a body, so use your brain. And Rocky was like, well, I never had much of a brain, and my dad told me to use my body. So, second movie, he's trying to do acting, he's trying to like do all this different stuff, but he's just like, he's like, okay, I'm a fighter. I have to go back in the ring, and he takes Apollo Creed's challenge, and pretty much he does the hard training stuff again. But Apollo Creed also does the hard training stuff this time. And eventually, it gets to the end of the fight, and Apollo Creed and Rocky, pretty much same thing. They like battle, they go to war. And then Rocky, at the end, they both tumble to the ground. They both hit each other and tumble to the ground because they're both like that exhausted. Which actually looks kind of goofy, not gonna lie. But they both tumble to the ground. Terrible storytelling. Rocky's coach and trainer was Mick, who was like the leader of this gym that Rocky got kicked out, and then Mick realized after Rocky got his big break and Apollo Creed challenged him, Mick's like, oh, I'll be your trainer, I'll make you the best ever, and yada yada yada. So Rocky gets trained up by Mick, these two, and then it's really important, the third one. So in the second fight between Rocky and Apollo Creed, Rocky actually wins. Rocky wins the fight, and he's the heavyweight champion of the world. So going on to the third movie, Rocky's like living lavish, all this cool stuff. He actually like wins a bunch of other fights against other people. It's not big, but it shows like kind of quick scenes. So and now the new challenger is Mr. T. He's like a young, like hungry dude, kind of, and real like aggressive and confident. So in this third movie, it's when Mick dies. Mick, whenever he's training to fight this Mr. T guy, Mick dies. And Rocky fights Mr. T after Mick dies, and he loses. So then he gets a rematch. Now, I also have not seen these movies in a little while, so if I get something wrong, do not fry me. But he loses to Mr. T after what is it? Yeah, after Mick dies, and like it's harder for him to train because he doesn't have Mick there pushing him. But he still does the fight because he kind of has to. And then he loses, so now he's like, okay, I have to do it for Mick. And he goes on another training montage, and he does it again, and he ends up winning. Now, I really didn't like the third movie. I haven't seen it a lot. That's why I don't remember all the like little minor details, but that's pretty much the main gist of it. Now, Rocky 4. So it starts off pretty much, there's this like big Russian dude who comes to America saying, hey, I'm kicking ass and taking names, dog. Anybody in America, y'all are all soft, y'all some bitches. Pretty much how it starts off. So Ivan Draco, he runs up. So Apollo Creed, the guy from the first movie, he's having an exhibition with Ivan Draco, which is supposed to be this like cool. And if you know exhibitions in boxing, they're not supposed to be like, you're not supposed to try to go out there and kill the dude. I didn't even say that to try to be funny. But pretty much, Ivan Draco and Apollo Creed, they're running this exhibition, and Apollo Creed's like cocky, and it's like America versus Russia, you feel me? So they go in the ring, and Rocky's actually Apollo Creed's corner man, and Apollo Creed ends up getting killed in the ring by Ivan Draco, or whatever his name is. And this is really big because in the third movie, when Rocky didn't have anybody to train with because Mick died, Apollo Creed kind of took him under his wing and like brought back the fire in him, you know? So Rocky and Apollo Creed were like best friends at this point. So Apollo Creed, he dies, and then Rocky pretty much immediately calls out Ivan, and he's like, we're gonna fight, I'm gonna avenge my friend. But they're like, no, we'll do it in Russia. So pretty much Ivan Draco, he's on like steroids. He's this like massive dude. And Rocky's wife is like, you can't beat him. He's this machine. Like, you're older. Like, you're done. So pretty much after that, he's pretty much like, Adrian, I'm a fighter. Like, I can do this. So he gets flew out to Russia so they can have this fight. And Rocky goes on this like crazy training montage and gets like in ridiculous shape. And it's in Russia, it's snowy, like he doesn't have all this equipment, and Ivan does. Like, he's in this lab, he's getting like all these tests and all these like steroids popped into him, so everything like is looking like it's going Ivan's way. So the fight begins, and it's in Russia, like I just said, and pretty much it's like America against Russia. That's the big point of this. It's America against Russia. That's the time frame that all these movies came out, where that was a really big thing. And Ivan pretty much was whooping up on that ass, kind of like what happened in the first movie with Apollo Creed. And Ivan's whooping up on that butt. And eventually, Rocky's just taken so many hits, and he's been knocked down so many times. But then eventually he starts getting tired, and like the tides turn, and the crowd in Russia, they all like are rooting for Rocky. And eventually Rocky starts just like breaking him down. And like the Russian overlords that are like supervising, eventually Ivan's like, I'm not doing this for y'all, I'm doing this for me type beat. And he just pretty much like fights really hard till the end. And they eventually, Rocky ends up knocking him out, and Rocky wins. Now what I'm about to say is important for the next movie. So after Rocky knocks him out, Rocky ends up in the showers like shaking, because like Ivan beat him so bad. He's like in the shower shaking. So he's shaking, and then pretty much, I don't remember if it's at the end of movie 4 or the start of movie 5, he gets back to America and he gets tests from the doctor saying he should never fight again. So pretty much Rocky hangs it up, and he has kids by now, and he's hanging it up. And he takes this kid up off the street named Tommy Gunn, I think was his name. And since he can't fight anymore, and a lot of like some money stuff happened, so he had to move out of his like nice mansion into this like small house in like the ghetto area, and like his son has to like fight bullies and shit. I don't know why that was even important in the plot, but it was. So he finds Tommy Gunn, and Tommy Gunn's this like up and coming boxer, and Rocky pretty much takes him under his wing and gets him in these amateur fights and trains him up to the point where he's really good. And his son's really jealous of Tommy Gunn, because he's like, oh, I want to do things with my dad, but I can't because he's training up this dude. So Tommy Gunn eventually, he meets this like, or not meets, but this other guy kind of like brings him under his wing and takes advantage of him, and like becomes his agent because he's trying to get his money, because he sees him as like an up and coming guy. So Tommy Gunn, pretty much, he's trained up by Rocky since Rocky can't fight anymore. And pretty much Tommy Gunn gets this ego on him, saying, and a lot of people are saying that he's Rocky's boy, and he just wants to like be known as his own person. So a lot of his agent pretty much puts in his head that Rocky's not looking out for you, that Rocky's just only has you around for his own legacy purposes. So pretty much Rocky was like, no, I was just looking out for you. And like his Italian accent is like, you were my boy, you were my boy type stuff, you know, but more of like a drunken like Italian guy accent, like, you are my boy, like Rocky Balboa type stuff. But so pretty much Rocky and Tommy Gunn pulls up to him at a bar after like the agent took advantage of him, brought some girls a fat rack on her to pretty much be like, hey, sleep with this dude. So he's like convinced to like be with us or whatever. So then after that, Tommy pulls up on Rocky at a bar with Paulie, who should have brought this up a long time ago. Paulie's actually Rocky's best friend and Adrian's brother. So Rocky fights Tommy Gunn in the alleyway and beats his ass pretty much in like a street fight, and that's how the movies end, and that's how the series ends, which I'm not going to talk about Rocky Balboa because he's way older. So I appreciate y'all for watching, and I hope y'all have a good night, and y'all check out the movies. Peace.
I hope you all enjoyed watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And thank y'all for watching. Have a good one.